Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov delivered a sharply confrontational speech at the United Nations General Assembly, accusing Western nations of manipulating international institutions and pushing the world toward a larger conflict. In a wide-ranging address that highlighted the deep fissure between Moscow and the West, Lavrov emphasized Russia's pursuit of what he termed a peaceful resolution in Ukraine, but coupled it with severe warnings against further NATO involvement. He launched a blistering attack on Israel, stating that its military action in Iran, Qatar, and beyond were an attempt to blow up the entire Middle East. Lavrov's rhetoric underscores a deliberate strategy to challenge the United States and its allies on multiple fronts, positioning Russia as a defender of a multipolar world order against what he described as Western hegemony. The speech served as a clear indication that under President Vladimir Putin, Russia remains committed to a path of direct confrontation with NATO, rejecting any blame for the ongoing war in Ukraine and instead placing responsibility squarely on the West for supplying weapons and political support to Kyiv. Lavrov reserved significant criticism for Israel and Western policy toward Iran, framing the reimposition of UN sanctions on Tehran as an act of blackmail and pressure. He condemned the Israeli government for a series of strikes that he argued destabilized the region and risked provoking a wider war, a notable escalation in Moscow's diplomatic tone toward Israel. Furthermore, he dismissed Ukraine's peace proposal as a failed ultimatum rather than a serious basis for negotiations, claiming that Kyiv had destroyed every opportunity for talks under pressure from London. Lavrov cited statements by Ukrainian presidential aide Mykhailo Podolyak, who vowed to pursue Russians legally or physically, as proof that Kyiv's leadership has made diplomacy impossible. He charged that the West was spreading World War III rhetoric, while simultaneously manipulating the UN and other global bodies for its own strategic gain, creating an environment where constructive dialogue was being systematically undermined by unilateral actions and threats. The address came amid sharply rising tensions between Russia and NATO, following a stark warning from Russia's ambassador to France, Alexey Meshkov, who stated that any NATO attempt to shoot down Russian aircraft would be considered an act of war. This warning followed numerous reports of alleged airspace violations and drone incursions across Europe, including confirmed sighting of mystery drones over Karup, Denmark's largely military base, which officials fear may be part of a coordinated hybrid attack. Lavrov warned that any aggression against Russia would trigger a decisive response, though he explicitly denied any Russian intentions to attack NATO countries in Europe. The situation has created a palpable sense of anxiety among European capitals, which are grappling with how to respond to these ambiguous provocations without triggering a conflict military confrontation with a nuclear-armed power. The shootdown of several drones in recent weeks has only intensified the urgency for a coordinated Western strategy to counter what is perceived as Russian destabilization campaigns. A separate but equally dangerous financial competition is also escalating, as Russia has warned European nations of severe retaliations if they proceed with plans to seize frozen Russian sovereign assets to fund Ukraine's war efforts. The Russian embassy in London denounced these proposals as illegitimate and unjustified, stressing that no transaction involving the assets can occur without Moscow's consent. The embassy accused European leaders of complicity in Ukrainian crimes for considering the move. Meanwhile, European leaders, led by Germany's chancellor, are actively pushing a high-risk loan plan backed by the value of the frozen Russian funds as a way to prevent a collapse of Ukrainian finance. This standoff over an estimated $300 billion in immobilized assets represents unprecedented tools of economic statecraft that could have lasting consequences for the global financial systems, setting a precedent for the use of seized sovereign funds and inviting potential countermeasure from Moscow targeting European investment in Russia. If you have made it this far, congratulations. You have unlocked the truth. I want to ask you a quick question. With Russian Foreign Minister Lavrov accusing Israel of trying to blow up the entire Middle East and NATO of spreading World War III rhetorics, and given Russia's warning against seizing frozen assets, do you foresee a dangerous escalation in direct military conflict between Russia and NATO? Join the debate. I want to hear your insightful opinion on where this is all heading in our community. Share your analysis and opinion in the comments below. Like the video and most importantly, subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.